And a good Friday morning to all of you out there watching into YouTube land. Today is the Scott Manning YouTube Sports Weekend Kickoff Show. I will have a lot to talk about here within the next half hour. I'm going to be here for a little bit, but I'm going to let you know now. Antonio Brown has been officially released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We also have word, and also last night, if you had the chance to watch the game between the Knicks and the Celtics, you missed a great classic. I got a lot of games in college basketball I'm going to talk about this weekend. 2 games in the NBA on this Friday night that will have you talking. And, of course, the only one major game in the big main event in the NFL, the Sunday night game between the Chargers and the Raiders. And I'll have all of that for you today. And I'm also going to talk about Big Ben Roethlisberger's career. And he has already said this may be his final game in Pittsburgh. He's already said it's going to be his final game in Pittsburgh. And we will start the show, and I will address all that. And I got great news, too. The soundboard is back. And we will start the show right after this.
Come on to 355.
The threat isn't on the horizon. It's here. I'm guessing this isn't a social pool. I'm putting together the best agents. American, British, German, Colombian, Chinese. We're the 355. Everyone's in position. 4. There's 2 ways to go about this. 3. We can do it the easy way. 2. Or we can do it the hard way.
The 355.
I've got 4 more agents out on the street.
Thanks for the tip.
With PG-13.
Huh. So if Geico's 85, that makes you... Are you asking if I'm 85 years old? Sea turtles live to be 150, so... No, I was not.
Geico, saving people money for 85 years.
This is Ice-T.
Stone Cold Steve Austin and Natty Ice.
I convinced NFL teams to turn to cold water washing with Tide.
The NFL, your uniforms get dirty.
Tide can handle it, even in cold. Plus, if fans join in, they can save up to $150 on their energy bill.
Looks like you just made the team, rookie.
Turn to cold with Tide.
And that's the bottom line.
It's got to be Tide. Energy savings based on average when switching from hot to cold and non-HE machine.
Spanning the globe to bring you the constant variety of sport, the thrill of victory, and the agony of defeat. The human drama of athletic competition. This is ABC's Wide World of Sport.
Let's get this show on the road. Sorry about the extra commercials there, but I was using another network to get the intro to the show. So my apologies for that. Last night, we saw a classic between the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. Actually, let me say this. It was a classic collapse, and it was a sub dive. Last night, the Knicks came back down 25 to get a huge victory. Evan Foreigner, 41 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block last night. And I'm going to come back to him in just a minute. Julius Randle, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. What a game for him. Emmanuel Quickly, 16 points off the bench, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and 1 steal. R.J. Barrett, Mr. Three-Pointer at the buzzer. 13 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. Evan Foreigner was 15 of 25 from the field. He was also 10-14 from three-point range last night. He was draining threes, and I figured he'd be the one to get the game winner, but it was R.J. Barrett. But as for the Boston Celtics, they gave it away last night. Jason Tatum, 36 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists, 2 steals, 1 block. Dennis Schroeder, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. Jaylen Brown, great first quarter, but he was lousy the rest of the way. 16 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist. And Marcus Smart, 14 points, 2 rebounds, 5 assists. The Boston Celtics last night got outscored 61-42 in the second half. They blew a 25-point lead. And all of a sudden, they find themselves 2-5 in the NBA Eastern Conference. And the Celtics are 2-5 in their last 7 games. So have they turned it? So it has become a nightmare for them. The Knicks game last night, that game was a classic comeback. The Knicks coming back down 25 at the end of the second quarter. Evan Foreigner going crazy from beyond the arc. 10 of 14 from 3-point range last night. That is what happened. And that is why the New York Knicks got the job done against the Boston Celtics. That's all there was to it. Now, that was last night. Tonight, we have 2 games on the NBA slate that are well worth talking about. The 3rd seeded Milwaukee Bucks in the Eastern Conference face the number 2 seeded Brooklyn Nets in the NBA Eastern Conference. A big Eastern Conference showdown. Milwaukee versus Brooklyn. Giannis versus Kevin Durant. And you'll see what I mean. Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's averaging 27.9 points per game. 3rd best in the NBA. Kevin Durant, 28.7 points per game. He leads the league. So this matchup is worth the price of admission. The Milwaukee Bucks, right now, they're 17-11 against opponents in the Eastern Conference. They got to get that conference record a little bit better. But the Brooklyn Nets have 2 huge advantages. They're 18-7 against conference opponents, and they're 4-0 in games decided by 4 points or less. That is going to be well worth the watching. But there's another secret matchup to this game tonight. That's not my sound machine, that's the phone, and I'm not worrying about it. All right, I'm going to go on. But there's another little matchup that I want to talk about. Grayson Allen versus Patty Mills. Grayson Allen this season, he's shooting 38.9% from 3-point range. And he's averaging 11.9 points per game. For the Brooklyn Nets, Patty Mills, 13.8 points per game. He's averaging 3.9 3-pointers per game in the last 10 games. That could be the secret matchup that will have everybody talking tonight. Everybody's been thinking about Giannis and Kevin Durant. Keep Allen and Mills in the back of your minds too. This game is going to be great to watch. 2 of the best in the Eastern Conference, numbers 2 and 3 in the conference going at it tonight. And if I was in Brooklyn, I would be at the Barclays Center in the front row watching the game. Would I pay the $75 seat? You bet your bottom dollar I would. This is going to be fun tonight. Now, the next big game I'm going to be talking about tonight here in the NBA, it's a simple one. The Atlanta Hawks will be facing the LA Lakers. The Lakers have won 4 straight games. They're sitting 6th in the NBA Western Conference. But I want to talk about the X factors tonight. It'll be Trae Young versus LeBron James. Trae Young, 28.4 points per game and 3.9 rebounds per game in the last 10 games. The LA Lakers have won 4 straight. They've been averaging 15 fast break points per game. That could be huge. And LeBron James, 28.6 points per game and 7.4 rebounds per game. And he's been averaging 4.5 fast break points per game. That could be important tonight. The other matchup that I think is going to have everybody talking tonight between the Hawks and the Lakers, Cam Reddish of Atlanta, 16.6 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game in the last 10 games. While Russell Westbrook, I haven't forgot about him. Westbrook, 19.5 points per game, 8.1 rebounds per game, and 8.1 assists per game. The Atlanta Hawks this season have had their struggles. They're sitting 12th in the NBA Eastern Conference. They're having their struggles. They're 9-11 in road games, but they're 4-2 in one when the games are decided by one possession. That could be important tonight. And the Los Angeles Lakers right now in this season, they are 13-10 at home. Their new home that was built as they left the old Forum, the Staples Center, whatever you want to call it. I call it the Forum because that's how I was brought up. The Lakers right now are sitting 6th in the NBA Western Conference. They've won 4 straight. Are the issues with Westbrook and LeBron James not keeping the team together, have those issues gone to pass? We'll find out tonight what happens between these two ball clubs. There's a lot at stake for the Lakers. They're fighting for a playoff spot right now. The Atlanta Hawks, they're fighting just to keep their heads above water. And also too, the LA Lakers tonight could have the house of pleasure. There you go. Right there. Tonight's game, these two games tonight, Milwaukee and Brooklyn and Atlanta and the LA Lakers, enjoy them tonight because you know I am. Those are not the only 2 games on the slate. Those are the 2 NBA games for tonight. But we have one game in college basketball that could be well worth the talking tonight. Out of the Big East Conference, Marquette versus Georgetown. Old school, good old-fashioned Big East basketball is back. Marquette is not one of the best teams in the world right now, but they can get the job done. Right now, Marquette's averaging 73.4 points per game. They've only allowed 70.3 points per game. And they shoot a respectable 43.5% from the field. Who's leading the charge for Marquette tonight? Justin Lewis. 15.7 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game. Keep that in mind. And he's shooting 41.8% from the field and 77.9% from the free throw line. Pay attention to Justin Lewis tonight in this contest. This is going to be one worth talking about. I rarely talk about college basketball on a Friday night like this, but when you get a Big East matchup that could have everybody talking, tune in tonight on Fox Sports 1 and watch how Justin Lewis does. And as for Georgetown, Aminu Muhammad, he's their star player for the Georgetown Hoyas. 14.6 points per game, 8.7 rebounds per game. Watch out for the rebounds tonight. He's shooting 42.6% from the field and 70% at the free throw line. I love this matchup for all the right reasons. I like this matchup. 2 very close, except for the free throw department. That's my only concern. But when it comes to rebounds, watch out because Lewis or Muhammad, one of these 2 are going to grab a ton of rebounds tonight. And as far as the Hoyas go, they know how to get it done. They are averaging 77 points per game, and they've only allowed 73 on the season, and they shoot 44.3% from the field. This matchup tonight promises to be a battle. It's Big East basketball. We're into the month of January. People are fighting for spots because March Madness is almost right around the corner. I know it's early January, but it's not too early to have March Madness in the back of your mind. This is going to be fun. I'm tuning in tonight. I'm tuning in tonight on Fox Sports 1. So my remote's going to be getting a workout tonight. Between the 2 NBA games tonight on ESPN and this game on FS1, this promises to be a barn burner. And this should be a dandy tonight. Now, that's your Friday game in college basketball. I got a couple of games on Saturday. I got one game on Saturday and another one on Sunday that will have you talking. This one is St. John's and number 16 Providence. The Providence Friars know how to get the job done, but the St. John's Johnnies have yet to lose. Have been having their struggles, but they lead by a half game in the Big East Conference. So I'm going to say this. I feel good about this, and I feel bullish about this game. So the question is, who's leading the way tonight? For St. John's, I've got two players. Julian Champagne, 19.8 points per game, 6.9 rebounds per game. I love this guy. But the other player for St. John's I have on the watch list, Posh Alexander. P-O-S-H. Posh. P-O-S-H. Just for the information, for FYI, for all you folks watching at home. Posh Alexander, 14.6 points per game, 4.6 assists per game, and he knows how to steal the basketball. He knows how to be a thief. 2.3 steals per game. I like these two guys, especially Alexander. He knows how to steal the ball. But for Providence, I have Nate Watson on the watch list tonight. 13.5 points per game, 6 rebounds per game, and he's shooting 55.1% from the field. That is something to think about. Now pay attention to both these teams tonight, and here's why. Providence is 12-0 when they have 3 players score in double figures. They're 1 or 2 otherwise when that doesn't happen. So watch how many. So when you watch this game on Saturday, think about that. As for the St. John's Red Storm, they are 9-0 when 4 players score in double figures, 0-3 otherwise. So St. John's has some work to do in that department. But if there's any good news for St. John's, they're averaging 83.2 points per game. That's the 12th highest in Division I basketball. And that could be very important. But Providence, they're going to have to score more. They're going to have to score a lot tonight. But here's the problem for them. Providence is only averaging 68.9 points per game. That ranks 211th nationally. And that is one thing that really scares me. Now, watch this game on Saturday. Watch this game high noon. It's either FS1 or Fox. This is going to be fun. It's the Big East, baby, and that's all I got to say about that. Now, let's move on to the Big Ten. Now, last night, Indiana beat Ohio State 67-51. That was a disappointing loss for the Buckeyes. But I got to talk about the Indiana Hoosiers. They do face the Minnesota Golden Gophers on Sunday. That's a 12 noon game on the Big Ten Network. But if you think about this game, the Golden Gophers, they can get it done when need be. Right now, the Golden Gophers are averaging 70.4 points per game. They've given up 64.2 points per game. There's a little concern there. And they can shoot 45.7% from the field as a team. I got 2 players on my watch list for the Golden Gophers. First, Jamison Battle. 18.2 points per game. He's shooting 49% from the field. And he's shooting 79.5% from the free throw line. But I also have Eric Curry down on my watch list. Now, he may only average 8.3 points per game, but he leads the team in rebounds with 6.7 rebounds per game. That could be a huge X factor if you really watch this game closely. But as for Indiana, I've got one player on my watch list, and he's a biggie. Tracy Jackson Davis. What is this guy? What has he done? Well, let's see. He's averaged 19.3 points per game, 8.2 rebounds per game. He's shooting almost 60% from the field. Look out. Look out, Golden Gophers. Look out for him. And on top of that, he's averaged 67.9% at the free throw line. I'll tell you what. I think Davis must have taken his advice from Bobby Knight. Okay, I just gave myself a buzzer. I know it's wrong, but it's right there. But if you think about the Hoosiers as a team, they've been averaging 78.7 points per game. They've only given up 61.6 points per game. That could be a huge thing down the stretch. Ohio State fell victim to that the other night. And they're shooting 48.3% from the field. The Hoosiers are looking forward to trying to get back into the top 25. But after that huge win over Ohio State last night, which had everybody talking, this is going to be something to think about, too, going down the stretch. We are now into the meat of the schedule in college basketball. Everybody knows now who's got to play who to the end of the season. The bottom line is this. We're into the meat and potatoes of the schedule in college basketball. And before you know it, it'll be March. And March Madness is just right around the corner. And everybody knows who's got to play who and who's got to worry about who. And that's a fact of the matter for the weekend. Now, that is your college basketball slate for this weekend. But the question is, what about the NFL? That has been the big question. Folks, as far as the NFL goes, I've only got one game worth the talking about, and it's a biggie. The LA Chargers versus the Las Vegas Raiders. And I'm going to keep it simple. It's one game, winner take all. Las Vegas Raiders quarterback Derek Carr has said, if you look back to our last 3 games, they've been the biggest game of our career. He's right. All 3 of those games have been the biggest games in of the Raiders players' careers, especially Derek Carr's. Well, think about what the Raiders have done. They beat Cleveland. They had to beat Indianapolis, and they got the job done. The Raiders are still alive. They have a legitimate shot at getting into the playoffs. LA Chargers defensive lineman Justin Jones has said, we know what's at stake here. We knew what was at stake last week. We didn't finish the job. Well, Justin Jones is absolutely right. The Chargers have had chance after chance after chance. I mean, they've lost to Kansas City. They've had their struggles down the stretch. But if you think about what the Las Vegas Raiders have had to go through with the adversity, could you imagine getting into the playoffs? Just getting into the playoffs is a victory. And that's the thing. The Raiders have had so much adversity this season. It all started with Henry Ruggs' DUI charge when he killed a woman and her dog. He was let go by the Raiders on November 2nd. Cornerback Damon Arnew, he was cut from the team after he was caught on video brandishing firearms and making death threats. Former head coach John Gruden's emails using a racial slur at NFL player director DeMaurice Smith, he got let go. And then just a few days ago, Nate Hobbs was arrested in Las Vegas on a DUI charge just hours after a Week 17 victory against the Colts. So the Raiders have been labeled the bad boys, and that title suits them perfectly. But back to the game. This is a Sunday night game. It's one game, winner take all. You win, you're in. You lose, you go home, and you go home and cry to somebody for the remainder of the winter until next season. That's what everybody knows. Everybody knows what's at stake. And this is a Sunday night main event. This is the big main event on Sunday night. The final Sunday night game of the year, it's going to be in Viva Las Vegas. Sorry, I had to go think of like The Rock for a second. What's at stake? I've already laid it out for you. Good luck to both teams. May the best team win, and it ain't over until I start singing. That's the rule in this house when it comes to sports. All right. That was the only game we're talking about this weekend in the NFL. Another game well worth the time. Actually, I want to talk about something else. I want to step away from the games and all that, but I want to talk about one person in particular at this moment. Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger has already stated this is going to be his final game in Pittsburgh. Could this be his final game? I think so. But the question was raised the other night, and I'm glad somebody asked me this. Somebody asked me, Scott, do you think Ben Roethlisberger is a first ballot Hall of Famer? I said yes, and I will say to you now, is Ben Roethlisberger a first ballot Hall of Famer into the NFL Hall of Fame? I say yes, and here's why. 63,721 passing yards in his career, 416 touchdown passes. He has a 163-81-1 record for his career. 98 home wins, tied with Brett Favre for third all time. 268 touchdown passes at home at Heinz Field. 2 Super Bowl rings and a rating of 93.8. Ben Roethlisberger, in my opinion, is a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's in. He's in the Hall of Fame. Is he a first ballot? I say yes. Look at his career numbers. Now, I know he's got some more. He's going to play against Cleveland, and the Steelers may get into the playoffs. But as far as Roethlisberger playing in Pittsburgh, he's already said this is his last home game. At the end of the year, he's going to hang it up. And Roethlisberger has nothing left to prove. He's proven everything in his career. And I'll tell you right now, and I'll say this, and I was bullish on Roethlisberger then, and I'll cash in right now. Ben Roethlisberger is going into the Hall of Fame. Is he a first ballot? Yes. All the way to the bank. All right. I got up this morning saying I wasn't going to talk about Antonio Brown, but I got to. Antonio Brown has been officially been released by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Actually, he quit. Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach said, Bruce Arians said a little while ago, he said, I told Brown to go in. He said, I'm not going in unless I get some more targets. And it's just been a matinee. But the one thing I'll remember is Antonio quit. Antonio Brown quit in the middle of a game. You don't do that. And that was disrespectful. And that's exactly what I think of Antonio Brown right now. He was just being a crybaby because he doesn't get more attention. The Buccaneers were down 24-10 against the New York Jets. Of all the teams in the NFL. And I saw him take his jersey off, his pads, his playing gloves. He ran right to the locker room. He quit. Antonio Brown was cut by the Buccaneers. But you know what? I'm glad. And you guys know all the crap that has followed Antonio Brown throughout his career. Steelers coach Mike Tomlin deserves a lot of the credit. He put up with Antonio Brown for 9 seasons in Pittsburgh. He finally got let go. He went somewhere else. Then he went to Oakland. Then he went to the Raiders organization. I figured Antonio Brown, his crap, all his trouble, he'd be a perfect fit for the Raiders organization. He didn't last too long there. He went back to Tampa Bay to be with Tom Brady. Won a Super Bowl ring last season. But I'm going to tell you right now, what Antonio Brown did last Sunday, and I hope Hall of Fame President David Baker is paying attention to this. Antonio Brown is not a Hall of Famer. I will not let somebody who quits, who's a quitter, into the Hall of Fame. That would never happen under me. Excuse me for being a conservative guy on this, but the fact of the matter is, Antonio Brown is not a Hall of Famer. With all the trouble that has followed him in his career, and you're hearing why. And here's the deal. I'm trying to be fair and impartial, but I just can't. Because when you quit in the middle of a game, in the middle of the third quarter, when your team is down 24-10 and you want more targets, you're not helping your team. you're being a selfish little brat. And that's all there is to it. I am so glad Antonio Brown got cut. He deserved it. But will another team pick him up? I bet you they will. But I'll tell you one thing. If I was an NFL owner, I would pass up on him, and I would take my chances with somebody right out of the draft. I would take my chances with somebody out of the NFL draft before I take my chances with Antonio Brown. He's a proven quitter, and he proved it to me last Sunday. And that's all there is to it. All right. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is now time for my closing thoughts on this day. The college football playoff, the national championship game, is this coming Monday night. Alabama versus Georgia, a rematch. Can the Georgia Bulldogs finally shake Alabama and win the national championship? We'll have to wait and see. But here's the problem. Alabama has had Kirby Smart's number. The Bulldogs have lost 7 in a row to Georgia, including the SEC title game last year. This happened. The SEC title game, this is back in December. With the national title on the line and everything up for grabs, anything can happen. Think about it. Jimbo Fisher, a former Saban assistant, upset Alabama earlier this year. When Alabama had to go to College Station to face Texas A&M. Could Kirby Smart do what Jimbo Fisher did this season and upset Alabama? That would be something. The national title is on the line. The rematch of the SEC championship game. This time around, everything's at stake. And it's very simple. One game, winner take all. It's the rematch. Is it well worth the money? I say yes. Can Kirby Smart upset Alabama? And can Georgia do it? We'll have to wait and see. But with the game in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium, a neutral site game, this is going to be something well worth the writing about. They're coming north for this game. And everything is on the line. And be the best team win. And that's all I have to say right now. Okay, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I want to thank you guys so much for being with me here on this day. And thank you guys for joining me here this morning. And I'm so glad to have you guys with me. I will be back here Sunday night for the Scott Manning YouTube Sports Weekend Wrap-Up Show. And yes, I will have the soundboard ready. And I will be back with you Sunday night after the Chargers-Raiders game. And that game promises to be fun. And we're going to have a great weekend. Thank you guys so much for being with me. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. My YouTube channel. My name is Scott Manning. All you have to do is type my name, scroll down, look for this pretty face, click subscribe, and you will see all the sports videos I have done so far. Thank you guys so much for being with me here this morning. You guys have a great weekend. Thank you so much for being with me, and God bless. Goodbye, everybody, and I thank you.